with that out of the way, let's go into the first segment, which is going to be talking all about the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James. You all know that you guys, the people that have been listening and the people that have been watching, that you all know how I feel about LeBron, the greatest basketball player to ever walk this earth. And obviously, there's not much that needs to be said about that. He is literally the greatest basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth. And enough said. Now, obviously, being one of the greatest basketball players ever, there is going to be a lot of pressure on you and your team to be as successful as you possibly can be. And one of the biggest stigmas on LeBron's career is winning. Like, a lot of fans, they really criticize him for having a 4-6 finals record, even though that's not entirely his fault, by the way. But still, he gets a lot of criticism for it. And with all that criticism, it comes the expectation, because Michael Jordan, he set that standard where it's like, if you're going to be a GOAT, you have to be a winner, and you have to have that winning mindset. And a lot of people don't think LeBron genuinely has that mindset, and he doesn't have the mentality, or he doesn't have the clutch gene, whatever nonsense that any old head fan wants to bring up that about LeBron. But regardless, the Lakers recently, I might as well go ahead and talk about their recent game. They destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies 136-124. I know the score seemed like really close, but really, like, when you watch the game, like, the game was never really close. Like, the Lakers were in full control the entirety of the game. Now, just to read off how ridiculous the stat sheet was, there was no Anthony Davis, but there was no problem. LeBron James ended the game with a triple-double, 23 points, 12 assists, 14 rebounds. The GOAT, again, the GOAT, Roy Hachimura, ended the game with 32 points and 10 rebounds. So very good production coming in from their role players. Austin Reeves, he had a great game last night, but now he's come down back to earth. 13 points, but he was able to tally 11 assists as well. And let's see, Jackson Hayes ended the game with 14 points and 7 rebounds, again, fulfilling his role. And D'Angelo Russell ended the game with 23 points and 4 assists. Everybody shot the ball relatively well. The Lakers shot 54% from 3 as a team, and they aren't really known as being like a laser three-point shooting team. So it's very good that the rest of these players, like, surrounding LeBron, are actually, like, shooters and are actually able to hit their shots. Now, recently, the Lakers have been playing very, very well in a lot of their games. They've been on, I believe they've been on a 6-game winning streak since the last time I covered them. Yes, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, they're on a 5-game winning streak. My bad, I was one number off. But now this is their 5th game that they've won in a row, and they're a lot more ahead of Golden State, like in terms of seedings, like in terms of record, than Golden State would like, I guess you could say, because Golden State right now is sort of in that little area where it's like, oh no, we could potentially be knocked out of the play-in. Like, we might not even make the play-in at this point, because Houston just comes out of nowhere and just literally just 10-game winning streak out of nowhere and almost ties with the same record as Golden State. Now, I fully expected Houston to lose the last game, but I'll get more into detail on that in the third segment. As I said, the third segment's going to be a recap of all of the NBA games, so I'll hold off on that and I'll continue talking about this. So again, this Lakers team, they've been winning all of these games, and most of the time they don't even have like their entire lineup in these wins. Like, as I mentioned earlier, they did not have Anthony Davis in this win against the Grizzlies, and going up against the Bucks, they didn't have LeBron. So the fact that this team, like, just all of a sudden is now figuring out how to make ends meet and win these really big games against these really big teams, it says something. Like, it's like, where is this the same team that we saw in the beginning? And that ultimately brings up the question, do the Lakers have a chance to make the finals? Short answer, no. I am a LeBron fan, but I am terrified of Jokic in the playoffs. I am absolutely terrified of Jokic in the playoffs, and I can, like, he scares me. The shots that he throws up, like, they're just absolutely ridiculous. Corrido in the chat, he has something to say. He has Steph Curry was crying after Draymond Green got ejected. Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit later in the third segment when I'm recapping all the games. I'll explain like why Draymond got ejected as well. But regardless, back on the Lakers because LeBron is better than him. Not really, but like LeBron, like I'm a LeBron fan. You guys know this already. But regardless, they've been winning these games and they've been doing so by without a lot of their pieces. So imagine when they're all healthy in the playoffs. Obviously, like that's going to bring in a lot of optimism, not just like from the Lakers like as a team, but also like the Laker fan base. Like this has sort of been like a cycle that they go through like a lot of the times. Well, except from the years that they had Russ, this has sort of been like the cycle that they go through with LeBron. They did this exact same cycle last year, and now it's sort of like repeating itself this year. And since it's repeating itself, are we going to see a Lakers and Denver Nuggets rematch in the Western Conference Finals? I mean, probably, assuming the matchups are in the Lakers' favor going into the playoffs. And, accidentally touched the microphone there. That's my bad. But going into the playoffs, if they get the right matchups for a series, then I wouldn't be surprised in seeing them rematch the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. And even then, there's still a possibility that the Nuggets don't even make the Western Conference Finals with how competitive the Western Conference actually is, even though I don't really think that that's the case. Crido's asking what that could be. I don't know. I guess we see this offseason. I'm going to get into that. Like, just hold on just a minute. I will get into that. Just let me finish this first segment first about my glorious king, LeBron James. Like, let me finish that segment, please. But I digress. Regardless, like, going back into the rest of what the Lakers said, and, excuse me, I'm just trying to see. Just got a weird message from my computer. I don't know what that was. But regardless, the Lakers, they've been very up and down in the last year. Like, first, in the beginning of the season, everyone thought they were going to be great. Then the regular season came. They aren't that great. Then playoffs roll around. And, well, not the playoffs roll around, but the trade deadline comes around. And then all of a sudden, D'Angelo Russell remembers how to play basketball. And then, right after that, they start winning a bunch more games. And now it's sort of like, where is this team at right now? Are they going to make it that far, or are they not going to make it that far? Now, me personally, I don't think they're going to make it that far. Like, I think it's really difficult to really scale like where they will go, because the Lakers, they're entirely dependent. Well, at least it seems like it. I know come towards the playoffs, they're going to be entirely dependent on LeBron James. It happens every single time on every single one of LeBron's teams. There's always going to be that one role player that they desperately need that doesn't show up. Always, always, always will be that one role player. It will always be that one role player. And it's happened so many times, and it's happened every single time in LeBron's career. And it's like, at what point are the role players actually going to step up? Like, will this be the year where all the role players play if they play exactly like how they're playing now, going into the playoffs, then I think they could beat any team. But if they do what LeBron's role players usually do and just completely underperform in the postseason when they desperately need them to perform, I am not entirely sure if LeBron can carry that offense. And even with Anthony Davis, because, again, the team to beat is going to be the Denver Nuggets. And I really don't know if Anthony Davis has anything that's able to, like, that's going to be able to stop LeBron James. Like, not LeBron, excuse me. I don't think Anthony Davis has anything that's going to be able to stop Jokic in doing what Jokic does. And that's what ultimately scares me, because it's like there's no real center, I think, that could really guard Jokic and stop Jokic, because there's no stopping Jokic. There's only hoping to contain him, I guess you could say. And even that, containing him, is probably like containing him to just 25 points, 8 assists, and 15 rebounds or something like that. But it's very difficult to, like, because, again, these role players are just so inconsistent, and it happens every single time. And like I said earlier, if they continue playing like how they're playing, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. But you also have to, like, again, the matchups, they have to be in the favor of the Lakers. So right now, they are the 9th seed, and I believe if they end up winning, like at this rate, since they are the 9th seed, and they end up staying in that winner-go-home scenario of the play-in, because the 9th and the 10th seed, you cannot afford to lose, otherwise you're going to go home. So they're going to be, if they end up winning, they're going to be matched up at the 8th seed at this point. And guess who's the number 1 seed? The Denver Nuggets. So if that happens and that stays the same way, like the standings stay the same way that they've been, then the Lakers might just get bounced out the first round. But if for some miraculous reason the Timberwolves or like the Thunder, they're the team that gets the number 1 seed, and they're the team that ends up playing the Lakers, then we might be looking at a completely different story here, because the Lakers have beaten the Thunder several times, and they do have a good shot of beating the Timberwolves. Now, assuming that Karl Anthony Towns returns healthy, and the same player that he was, might hinder their chances of ultimately going past them. But I've learned to never doubt LeBron until he's actually out, because whenever you do, he proves you wrong. 9 out of 10 times, he proves you wrong. And it's been happening every single time. Like in 2016, I doubted he was going to come back 3-1. Comes back 3-1. In 2017, I didn't think he was I thought that it was going to be a little bit of a competition to make it to the finals. They lost only 1 game on the road to the finals. 2018, I thought that without Kyrie, the Cavs were done and they were never going to make the finals ever again. LeBron immediately takes them to the finals in 2018. 2020, Lakers get Anthony Davis. I think that they can make noise, but I did not. I thought that playing against the Clippers would be the challenge. LeBron didn't even have to play the Clippers in 2020, and he ends up winning the championship. So again, every single time you doubt LeBron, he proves you wrong. And even in the play-in, like in the play-in game when he played against the Golden State Warriors, I literally could not believe it whatsoever, because it's like the Golden State Warriors, like at that point, Curry was having a ridiculous season, and when Curry's season when they got into the play-in, I thought that they had a good chance of beating LeBron. Nope. LeBron ends up winning yet again. Now, let's see. Corrido, he has something to say. Golden State and the Suns' gameplay versus Jokic is you can't stop him, but you can stop his supporting players. Make Jokic beat by getting 50-plus points. You either win or lose by a single point. I have no idea. That did not make any sense to me. I don't know if I just read that completely wrong, but that just did not make any sense to me whatsoever. But I think what he's trying to say is the game plan was, because I did watch that Suns game, try to make somebody else win the game for you. And yes, I get that is usually the game plan to stopping anyone that is that dominant. But here's the thing. He's Jokic. He's seen it 1,000 times. His teammates have seen it 1,000 times. The more touches that he gives them, the more in rhythm they're going to get, meaning the more shots they're going to hit. And, like, while Denver lost, like, the previous matchup going up against the Suns, it's like you win some or you lose some, but that's why it's a series. That's why it's a series. And Carrito, he's saying, you try to make Jokic a one-man army, and that's the game plan. I mean, even then, that's not really going to work because Jokic is so good in the post. He can literally throw up any shot he wants, and I think it's going to go in. So it's like, you can't stop him. You can't stop him from passing. You just have to hope to God that that he starts missing or the rest of his team starts missing. And it might be a better bet to, like, make his team miss or to just force Jokic into difficult scenarios. Because, like, I brought up Anthony Davis because, Anthony Davis is known as a rim protector. And he's known for, like, being one of the best two-way players that they've seen. So it's like you've got to find some way to stay in front of him, and you've got to find some way to defend him. And Anthony Davis, he has the best chances of, stopping him at the rim because, let's face it, nobody's really going to stop Jokic at the rim unless they're just as tall. But with that, we are out of time for this first segment, so I might as well go ahead and conclude. Do I think the Lakers have a chance? Yes, if the role players do their job. If they don't, then they stand absolutely no chance. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and pivot into the second segment where I talk about the Sweet 16. So I will be right back after this short break.